Hey yogis, it's Amy here. Today's practice is an intermediate level practice, and the reason why I say that is I don't give as much kind of foundational instruction for the postures that we're going to be moving through, and we hold the poses a bit longer, and we're going to be exploring an arm balance and also an inversion, which you're going to have to do the practice to see what the inversion is. But it's an exciting practice. It's a challenging practice, great for students who have kind of the basics under their belt already. So get on your mat and let's get started. All right, so we're going to start this practice in downward facing dog. So come around onto your mat and tuck those toes, lift your hips and press yourself up and back. And we're just actually starting in this pose just to kind of enliven the whole body, and then we'll do a little bit more quiet centering. But for this first down dog, explore it in the way that maybe you always explore your first down dog, pedaling out your heels, bending and straightening the knees, wagging your tail, wagging your hips, swaying your pelvis from side to side, shaking out your neck, and then beginning to feel into your hands. Spread your palms open wide, stretch your fingers long, begin to ground down through your hands. Feel into your feet, and if you've got the range of motion here, stretch your heels back, press your heels down, feel the arches of your feet opening, and try lifting your toes and spreading your toes. And start to take deep, steady breaths using Ujjayi breathing, so the breath is audible. You can hear your inhales, hear your exhales. Maybe the eyes are closed, and just begin to really center your awareness inside your body here. See if you can release the back of your neck. Feel the top of your head releasing heavy towards the floor. And imagine the sternum at the front of your chest here, just sliding gently towards the tips of your fingers. And then press your shoulders down your back. Let's take one more slow breath, breathe in. And then as you exhale, bring your knees down to your mat, and let's stretch back through child's pose. So taking your hips towards your heels, bringing your forehead down towards your mat. Kind of wiggle yourself into your sweet spot with child's pose. Tuck your chin slightly so that when your forehead is resting on your mat here, there's actually a slight downward pull on the skin of your forehead. So you're bringing the skin of your forehead towards the tip of your nose, and this induces the relaxation response and really supports the quieting of the mind. See if you can soften the back of your body and let all parts of your body in contact with the floor sink down into the floor. Just breathing out, releasing anything you came to your practice with today that maybe is weighing heavy on you, any tension that's kind of lying on the surface of the body. Anything that you're ready to start letting go of, just breathe out and invite yourself to release. And then as you're resting here in child's pose, this is kind of a receptive, relaxing position. Think about what you want to invite in.
So our practice allows us to let go of a lot. There's a lot of detoxification that happens as we move and breathe. And as an intention for your practice today, just think about what would you like to invite in as you clear out your body and your mind. What do you want to enter your body and mind and replace that old heavy energy? And you can think about that, solidify that in your mind as a thought, say it silently to yourself. And then just take a deep breath in and out. Good. And then let your arms stretch back out long in front of you and rise up onto your hands and knees. And let's come once more into downward facing dog. So tuck your toes, lift your hips, pull those hips up and back. And the next time you breathe in, take your right leg, stretch your right leg up, and let your right hip open, bend your right knee. Pressing through both hands, rotate your chest a little bit towards your back left thigh, lifting that left shoulder up slightly. And if your joints are sticky, you can, especially in this right leg and foot, move them around, circling out your right ankle, bending and straightening your right knee. You could also draw some big circles with your right hip. Work on opening up that right side of the body. Take a nice deep breath, breathe in and out. So one more full breath, breathe in. And then breathe out, release back to downward facing dog. And again, at any point, if you need to rest, just drop to child's pose, take a little break. Otherwise, lift your left leg up. Same thing, just stretch that left leg up, bend the knee. Holding here and breathing nice and deeply, opening up the left thigh, the left hip, the left waist, even the left rib cage. You're going to roll that right shoulder up a little bit, leveling out your shoulders as best you can here. Hang your head. Circle out your joints a little bit if you'd like. Good, and then breathe out, release. Take that left foot to downward facing dog. Take a full breath here. Breathing out completely. Let's come into turbo dog. So you're going to take your feet mat width apart and then push through your hands, bend your knees, and send your hips back towards your thighs. So in this position, you want to feel like your belly and your chest are moving towards your thighs. You're going to hang your head. And when you bend your knees here, you want to soften the joints a little bit. So the muscles around your ankles, the muscles around your knees and hips, relaxing them a little bit so that you actually start to kind of sink into the bones of your body. And we're charging up the bones. We're activating the root chakra. It's kind of like your little wind-up toy, right? And you're getting drawn back to collect and build energy so that you could spring forward if you needed to with ease. Your shoulders might be starting to get tired, so see if you can relax around your neck, let your shoulders release, and you can even shift your weight a little side to side. If you notice one shoulder overworking, try to find some balance between the two shoulders. Okay, take one more deep breath into the legs, breathing out completely. And then straighten out those legs, adjust your feet, bring them back in, and then come all the way down to child's pose. And stretch back towards your heels. Wrap your arms back if it's comfortable for you. Let your forehead come to your mat. Take a deep breath in and out and just let your arms be heavy. Let your shoulders sink towards your mat. Just releasing any effort that built up in the shoulders during that long downward facing dog hold. Great, and then stretch your arms back out in front, and then walk your hands back. So you're gonna have your hands right alongside your knees, and you want, if you had your knees wide for your child's pose, just bring them back into about hip distance apart. And then you're gonna lift your hips and roll up onto the top of your head. When you come up into this position, check that your hands are right underneath your elbows. Spread your fingers, push down into your hands, and kind of push into the top of your head here as well. Round your back, pull the belly in. And just breathe. Exhale, push off your head. Take your hips back towards your heels. Walk your arms back out in front. And then inhale, rise back up onto your hands and knees. This time, tuck your toes and walk your hands towards the back of your mat so that you come through a little squat position. And then from your squat position, you can lean forward a little bit, and you could just rest right over your thighs and let your head hang. Good. Breathe in, lengthen, lifting your gaze. Exhale, straighten out your legs. Adjust your feet about hip distance apart, and then just hang forward. And you might want to bend your knees a little bit here and just soften along your spine. Let your neck be long, let your arms dangle. On your next breath in, lengthen out your spine, look forward. Exhale, come back to downward facing dog, walking those hands out. Lift your right leg again, breathing in, but this time keep your right hip turning down to face the floor. So if you look back, you could flex your right ankle and point your toes straight down. Think about lifting from your inner right thigh, and then notice the weight in your hands. Push through both hands equally. Pull the belly in and try to draw back through the hips. You're looking back towards your left foot. Take one more inhale. Maybe you can lift that right leg a little higher. And then as you exhale, lunge your right foot forward between your hands. Let's keep the left heel lifted. And as you inhale, start to rise up. Coming into a crescent lunge, you can take your arms, reaching them up overhead. And sometimes we pull back and down through that left heel, but instead today, explore lifting your left heel way up. It's almost like you're lining the heel up above the ball of your left foot. Lift and press the back of your left thigh kind of up, engage the front of the thigh, and then start to open your chest and arch back a little bit. Lifting your heart, lifting your gaze, focus those eyes. Imagine you're holding something between your hands here. So it could be like a kickball or a yoga block, but just to create a little tension between the two palms of your hands, shoulders melt down. Take one more breath. Maybe you can arch back a little bit more. And then breathe out, release. Take your hands down to your mat. Plant your palms. You're going to stretch back, lifting that right leg up. This time, take the leg all the way up. Open up that right hip again. Bend your knee. Full breath in. And then exhale, release. Take your right foot down to the floor. And then breathe in, come into plank pose, upward push-up. Holding here in plank. So spread your fingers, push the floor away. Press your shoulders down your back. Lift through the back of your neck. Squeeze your belly up and in. You can shift your weight around a little bit like I'm doing here, just to really find both hands, both feet active. Good, let's push back, downward facing dog. Lift your left leg up. Rotate your left hip down, flex the ankle, look back, see that your toes point straight down, and try lifting from your inner left thigh. Both palms of your hands, grounding, pushing into your mat, lift and draw up through the navel slightly. And then try to melt your chest towards your belly. and then towards your back thigh. Deep inhales and exhales. One more breath in, and then we'll exhale, lunge that left foot between the hands, and working your way up into that high crescent lunge. So you can find your focal point for balance to start. Reach your arms overhead, lift up high onto the base of your right big toe. Engage your thigh muscle. Start to stretch your belly open, lift your chest. Let your shoulders kind of ungrip from your back and fall towards the floor. Soften the fingers, let them reach long, but then soften the muscles a little bit. And then again, remember you're holding that imaginary ball or block between the hands. Squeeze the muscles of your right leg all the way up into the right buttock muscles. Take one more breath. And then breathing out, release. Hands come to the floor. Plant your palms, and again, you're going to scoop up your left leg. This time, open your left hip. Big stretch up, breathe in. And then exhale, release. Breathe in, come to plank, upward push-up. Stay here, get nice and strong. Inhale. And then exhale, shift a little forward, slowly pressing in through the elbows. Shoulders slide down the back. Come all the way to your belly. Take a breath in, curling up. Baby cobra, elbows hugging in. And let's press lightly through the tops of the feet. Reach the arms back, clasp your fingers behind your back. Pull the knuckles towards the wall behind you, and let's hold here and breathe. You can be looking slightly down and then try to lengthen through the back of your neck. Legs are active. Spread your toes. Try squeezing your inner thighs together and then lift your legs off your mat. Let's hold for 3 more breaths. One more deep inhale. Exhale, release. You can bring your forehead to your mat and then plant your palms down. Let your hands be about halfway between shoulders and hips, preparing for upward facing dog. Inhaling, press through your hands, rise up. Press through your feet, lift your knees, and then press your outer thighs towards your inner thighs, squeezing the legs together. And then exhale, pull all the way back. Downward facing dog. Take a nice full breath into the back of your torso. And just see if you can feel your whole back widening and spreading out. And then on your next breath, walk your feet forward to the front of your mat. Take an inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. And breathe out, soften and fold. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, fold. Good, breathing in, maybe a little bend of the knees. Inhale, reach up. Stretch the arms overhead. Exhale, dive over your thighs, forward fold. Breathe in, stretch out long. Exhale, take your feet back, find your plank pose, lowering through chaturanga. Breathing into upward facing dog. Breathing out through downward facing dog. Lift your right leg. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, lunge your right foot forward between your hands. Keeping your left heel lifted, another crescent lunge, rise up, breathe in. And then exhale, float the arms all the way down, step back, find plank. Lowering chaturanga, Inhaling up dog. Exhaling down dog. Lift your left leg, breathe in. Lunge it forward, exhale. Crescent lunge, rise up. And exhale, hands to the floor. Step back, plank. Strengthen the belly, the legs, the thighs. Lowering chaturanga. Breathing into up dog. Exhale, downward facing. Hold here in your down dog. Take a few deep breaths. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, walk, step, or hop to the front of your mat. Lengthen out your spine, breathing in. Exhale, fold. Take another breath in, lengthen. Heel toe your feet out, about mat width. Bend your knees, so you're sinking down into your hips, into a yogi squat. Let your elbows press into your inner knees, palms pressing here, thumbs to the heart. Lift up nice and tall. Let your weight shift a little bit from side to side. Eyes, if they're open, you're going to focus them out in front of you on one point and stay steady with your gaze. Or you could close your eyes, really taking your attention inside your body, becoming aware of what you're sensing, what you're feeling. Slow breath in, slow breath out. Release your hands down, straighten out your legs, adjust your feet here, heel toe your feet back in. And let's bend the knees and come into Utkatasana chair pose. So sit back with your hips and then taking a breath in, let your arms reach up overhead. Squeeze your knees and thighs together as you sit back nice and low. Bring your hands down through heart center, interlace your fingers, and then push your palms out and up. Try to stretch your elbows straight, and then straighten your legs and arch back a little bit. Lift your floating ribs on your lower back rib cage up towards the sky. Exhale, release your hands, dive over your thighs, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, walk, step or hop your feet back to plank. Take your time here, get nice and strong, and then lower down chaturanga. Breathing into upward facing. Exhale, downward facing dog. Lift your right leg, breathe in. Exhale, lunge your right foot between your hands. This time, drop your left heel for warrior one pose. Rising up. Arms reaching up overhead. Maybe even touching the palms at the top. Look at your thumbs. And then feel yourself pressing the back of your left leg towards the back of your mat. Squeeze your left glutes. Ground down through the outside edge of your left foot and soften and melt your shoulders down. Deep bend in the front knee. And reach the tips of your fingers up even higher towards the ceiling. Take one more breath. And then as you exhale, let's open up to warrior two. So you might adjust your feet slightly here so that your front heel lines up with the arch of your back foot. Take your arms out in line with your shoulders, gaze over your right hand, roll those shoulders back and down, holding here and breathing. Try lifting your toes, feeling the soles of your feet activating. Feel all the muscles of your legs turning on. Squeeze the muscles of your legs to the bone. Press your shoulders down and then try to squeeze your triceps, the muscles at the back of your arms, upper arms. Squeeze them up and in towards the bone. 2 more breaths here. Good. Breathing out, windmill your arms all the way down. Lift your back heel. Stay here in your lunge. Press into your left hand, take your right arm up and twist. Look up towards your lifted thumb. Nice deep breathing. Keep a deep bend in that right knee. And again, feel your left leg super straight, pressing the back of your left leg up towards the ceiling. And you can lift way up high again onto the ball of your left foot. Try to lift up out of your left shoulder. Take 1 more inhale. Good. Breathing out, release. Bring your hands to the floor. Step back, plank pose, upward push-up. Squeeze on the muscles of your body. Exhale, lower through. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a couple breaths. Side 2, lift your left leg up. Nice big stretch. Exhale, lunge your left foot forward between your hands. Warrior 1. Right heel drops. Rising up. Take those arms overhead. If you'd like, bring the palms to touch. And you might have to shift your arms slightly forward. Look up, see your thumbs. Feel your right leg. Straighten your right leg. Feel the back of your right leg pressing towards the back of your mat. Really grounding down through the right foot, activating the toes. And then bend a little deeper into your left knee and try lifting your left toes as well. And as you press deep into that left heel, feel the back of your left thigh activating. Let your tailbone drop down as you lift up through your pubic bones, lift up through the lower belly. Slow breath in, slow breath out. Breathe in, and then as you exhale, warrior 2. So opening up to the side. And you might again adjust your feet a little bit. And bend deep into that front knee. And when you're ready, let your arms float out in line with your shoulders, gazing over your front left hand. So once you're here in this position, we want to feel a sense of equalness, reaching out through both arms, activating down through both legs into the feet. So you're really trying to figure out, where's my center? And you want to feel that you're anchored here in your center, and then getting a little pull in both directions. Hold here and breathe. Each time you exhale, you can think of pulling the belly in a little bit, dropping your tailbone down, and then lifting up even higher through the top of your head. As both heels press, you could even imagine your 2 heels trying to pull in towards each other. And you might also feel that connect into your inner hips, pulling in towards each other, and then your hip joints, inner thighs, I should say, and then your inner hips pulling in and up towards your navel. So there's a lot of core activation and lift into the body. Take 1 more breath here. Good. Breathe out. Windmill your arms down. You're coming into your lunge position, pressing your right hand down, twisting and lifting the left arm up. Feel yourself kind of rotating the pit of your right elbow. Rotate it towards the front of the room. That's going to be reflected in your right shoulder, just kind of rolling that right shoulder back and down. Look up if you can. Focus on your lifted thumb. And then feel your left leg growing straight. Activate the back of your left thigh, lift it up a little bit, and press up high onto the ball of your back foot. Shoulders down your back, neck is long. One more inhale. And exhale, release. Take that left hand down, step back. Find your plank pose. And lower down chaturanga. Breathing into your upward facing dog. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Holding here in down dog for a few breaths. Look forward, walk, step, or hop your feet to the front of your mat. Take a breath and lengthen. Exhale, fold. Heel toe your feet out a little bit wider than your hips. Come back down into your yogi squat position. And so you can repeat what we did last time where you just hang out in your squat. Press your elbows to your knees. Draw your heart up towards your thumbs. Even shift your weight a little bit from side to side and just kind of settle into those hips. And if you're feeling like you want a little bit of a challenge today and you want to kind of cultivate a bit more strength and focus and balance, we're going to try Bakasana, a crow pose. So the hands come to your mat. Just going to back up a little bit here. And your hands are about shoulder width apart. If you're new to this pose, you can kind of follow along with me. If you know the pose really well, you can just set yourself up and head into it. Okay. Most important thing I find with this pose throughout the years of teaching it is you want to keep your head lifted because it hurts when you fall forward and do a little face plant. So keep your head lifted as best you can. And then try lifting your hips. Kind of adjust here and bring your knees to the upper arms and wrap them to the outside just slightly. And then push into the hands and look forward. And this is your starting point. And you can just stay here and press your inner thighs towards each other. You're already feeling a lot of core work. You're going to lift your navel up and in. And then from there, as you squeeze those inner thighs together, you can start to lift one foot and then maybe the other foot. Holding here, eyes are focused. You're still lifting your head, trying to look forward. You can squeeze the feet together, lift the heels towards your bum, push the floor away. You can try to press your hands towards each other. Maybe holding for 1 or 2 more breaths, which is really hard to do when you're talking. So I have to take a little break. But if you're still at it, awesome job. Take 1 more breath. And then exhale. Some of you might be jumping your feet back or lowering your feet or coming out of your squat. And let's meet in down dog. And if your wrists are a little fatigued, go ahead and just drop your knees and sit back onto your heels. And it's nice to give your wrist a break in between arm balancing poses. Even if your wrists are pretty strong, there tends to get a lot of compression through all these little joints. So you can kind of massage your wrist. Circle out your wrist. Or just shake out the hands. Great. And then bring your hands back out in front of you. Tuck your toes, lift yourself back up through your downward facing dog. Take a nice deep breath in, lift your right leg. And then exhale, step your right foot forward between your hands, and then you're going to hop your left foot in so you've got a little tighter stance here. So about maybe 3 feet between your 2 feet. And slide that right hip back, trying to get your hips to aim towards the front of your mat. Lengthen out your spine. From here, we're going to be moving into twisting triangle pose. So lots of places for this left hand. You could have it somewhere along your shin bone or on top of your ankle. You can have your fingertips on the floor, palm of the hand on the floor, or maybe a block if you have a yoga block. Right hand will come to the hip,
You can also take your left hand to the outside of your right foot on your fingertips or palm flat. And then eventually twisting your ribs towards the right and gazing up. This is not an easy yoga pose. It's pretty challenging. Some things that you might want to check in with for alignment are that your feet are on two different railroad tracks. So it's kind of like a narrow railroad track that your feet are resting on. And you're going to twist your belly towards the right, but both hips stay facing down, and you might even feel the outside of your right hip kind of bumping in towards the midline of your mat. And then just try lengthening your spine. One more breath here. Breathe in. Good. And then exhale. Release your right hand. We're going to take Ardha Chandrasana. So I'm just going to wiggle back a little bit here. So Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. You want your hands to come out, 10 to 12 inches out in front of your foot. Lift your left leg. Open your left hip. You want your toes facing the left side of your mat here, your left toes, your ankles flexed. And then straighten that left leg. So really tone up the muscles to make sure the leg is straight. Both hands can be on the floor. You're going to start to lift your left hand to your hip or lift it all the way up. And then rotate your gaze up and breathe. Exhale, release. Step all the way back, coming into plank pose. Inhale, exhale, chaturanga. Breathing into up dog. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Let's take a breath in and out. Lift your left leg. We'll take that through side two. Exhale, lunge your left foot forward. Hop your right foot in, so you've got about 3 to 3.5 feet between your feet. And then make sure if there was like narrow railroad tracks coming down your mat, each foot is on its own railroad track. Lengthen out your spine. Choose your positioning for that right hand. I'm showing the hand outside the left foot, palm pressing. Left hand can come to your hip, and eventually you're going to lift your left arm and rotate your gaze up. Really work into your feet. Push the feet into the floor. Twist your belly to the left. Press your shoulders down your back. Try to pull your tailbone back as you lengthen the neck and the top of your head forward. And breathe. Exhale, release. Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. Again, I'm just going to back up a little bit here. So you can step onto your left foot, lift your right leg. Turn your right toes towards the right side of your mat. Flex your ankle, and then really straighten your leg. You might even have to bend your knee and then straighten it, because a lot of people sometimes end up with a little bend in that knee. And then your right hand can come towards your hip. Your left hand is resting on the floor, maybe out in front of the left pinky toe, and you can bend your left knee. If you have a yoga block, place your left hand on a yoga block. Lift your right leg high, like you're lifting from your pinky toe. Send your right arm up. And your focus could be down, which is helpful for balance, but once you start to feel pretty steady here, try looking slowly up. Take a breath in. As you reach out through the limbs of your body, pull in towards your center at the same time, like you're giving yourself a muscular hug. And on your next exhalation, release that right hand. Step all the way back. Find plank pose. And lower down, chaturanga. Breathing into up dog. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Take 3 deep breaths here.
Good, and then exhale, let your knees come to your mat. Sit back onto your heels for a moment. And just take a couple of centering breaths here, just kind of grounding your energy. So your palms could be up, or you can place your palms down. Close your eyes. Hear the sound of your Ujjayi breath. And start to slow the breath down. All right, so we're gonna do a little inversion. And so you're gonna want, ideally you have a little bit of wall space. So if you need to just shift your mat, you can find some wall space. And if you don't end up having wall space, there will be some options that you can explore, but we're gonna be working with something called pinchamayurasana forearm stand. So I'm gonna show the first variation that those of you that are maybe on the really new side, you can stick with this first variation, or you can, if you don't have a wall space available, do this first variation. It'd be great. So you're gonna come down onto your forearms, cross your forearms, grab your upper arm bones. This pose is really good for strengthening through the shoulders. So you can expect to feel a little burn maybe in that area. You're gonna open up, once you've crossed and grabbed your upper arm bones, open up, interlace your fingers, tuck the bottom pinky into the palm. And then from here, you're gonna tuck your toes, lift your hips, and it's just like down dog, but you're on your elbows. So this is our dolphin pose, and it's preparation for pinchamayurasana. In this position, your head is just hanging, and you're still pressing your chest back towards your legs. And if your hamstrings are really tight, again, just take your feet wide, bend your knees, and keep pressing into your elbows and forearms to send your chest back. Lift up your lower belly a little bit. You can also look at your thumbs and push the floor away. Different kind of strengthening. And then those of you that are feeling pretty strong, maybe want a little bit more, walk your feet in slightly. And then you could drop your head again, and you can lift one leg, holding that for a couple of breaths. And then lifting the other leg. And you could go back and forth like that. And then taking breaks in child's pose, or just even coming back to sit onto your heels when you need a little break. So that's phase one. And so you can repeat that as we progress through these other phases of the pose. And again, just rest as much as you need to. Child's pose is great. And it's nice to do child's pose with your arms wrapped back, like I'm demonstrating here, in between this forearm balance, because the shoulders are being worked really, really hard. So feel free to choose that. So now we're gonna do kind of like a half forearm stand using the wall. So if you have your wall, this is what it's for. And what I usually recommend is you sit by the wall with your legs pointing out and kind of just notice where your feet land, and you're gonna put your elbows down right in front of your heels. So that's kind of the approximate that you're gonna work with. And then it's the same setup. So just like we did for dolphin pose, you're gonna grab your upper arm bones to measure out the distance between your elbows, interlace your fingers, tuck the bottom pinky in, and then lift your hips just like down dog. Usually once you're here, your heels are resting lightly on the wall. And then you're gonna walk one foot up and then the other foot up into your half forearm stand. Your head is not touching the floor. You're lifting up out of your shoulders, pressing your chest back. Pulling the belly up and in. And pressing your tailbone and your sit bones towards your heels. Try to lengthen your upper arm bones, pushing through the elbows to lift up. Try holding that for several breaths. And again, you can come out, take breaths in child's pose to relax the shoulders, to release, and then maybe go back in. Sometimes the feet will slide on the wall if your core is not activated. So you can always go up really slowly, one foot at a time, and bend your knees a lot. So you're kind of crouching towards the wall. So that can help.
And then maybe some of you are already doing full pinchamayurasana. You know that pose, the forearm balance. So when you are ready for that, you can flip around to face the wall. And for that pose, for the full pose, you actually undo your hands and press your palms flat into the mat. And I'm going to show this from the side just so you can kind of see the kicking up into it, but you can shimmy your fingertips right up to the wall. You measure out that distance. Make sure your elbows are right underneath your shoulders, because if they splay out, you're going to lose the support for your chest. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, just like down dog again. And then you can kick 1 foot at a time up, kind of testing the waters, taking little baby hops just to see how that feels. You want to, sometimes looking down helps because that keeps you from collapsing your head to the floor. And then over time, if you feel like, oh, your foot touches the wall, right? You might come all the way up into the pose, reaching through those toes. The feet can rest into the wall. You can hang out there. A little hard to talk while I'm upside down in the pose, but once you kick yourself all the way up, let your feet rest into the wall, push through the elbows, lift up out of the shoulders, and see if you can hang out there for a few breaths. When you come down, rest. And with these kind of inversions, they can be super fun, really empowering, really strengthening to do, but you have to kind of take little baby steps. So don't worry about getting to that last variation today. Don't worry about trying to do it in the middle of the room. Stick with, work through those layers. And then you'll start to find the balance, find the strength, and the know-how for doing those. So let's meet in child's pose. And just let your whole body soften and just come back to slow, steady breathing. Relax your jaw. Great, and then slowly when you're ready, you can rise back up, coming onto your hands and knees. And this time come around all the way to sit on your mat. And let's do a little kind of unwinding twist for the spine. So you can sit cross-legged. If it's uncomfortable to sit cross-legged, sit up on a rolled up blanket or a pillow if you have one. And then let's take the left arm back behind, right hand to your left knee. And just sit up nice and tall. Rotate your gaze back over your left shoulder. Maybe close the eyes. Feel into your neck and see if you can lift up long through the sides of your neck, lift up through the crown of your head. And you're just breathing here, feeling your body, maybe helping those shoulders kind of relax back and down, rinsing out the spine, wringing out any tension or stress. Great, and then unwind and rotate yourself over to the right. You're just going to prop up on your right fingertips and then lift your spine up nice and tall. Look back over your shoulder. Maybe closing your eyes. Maybe letting both elbows bend to twist a little deeper. Try to zip up the front of your belly. Lift up through the crown of your head. Good, breathing out, bring yourself back through center. Nice deep breath in and out, and then shift yourself down onto your backs. And as you come down onto your back, hug your knees to your chest.
And give yourself a little squeeze. We're going to take a bridge pose or a wheel pose as we start to get close to the end of our practice here. So bridge pose, right? Arms can press down alongside your body and your feet are hip distance apart. And you want to be able to touch your heels lightly with your fingertips. And just press down, roll your hips up, lift your spine up. Maybe walk those shoulders underneath you. And breathe here. You're holding an imaginary block between your thighs. And you can stay here and breathe or bring your hands right by your ears. Push down, lift yourself all the way up into full wheel pose. Wherever you're at, connect into your breath, ground your inner feet. We'll take 3 more deep inhales and exhales. Exhale, tuck your chin. So if you're in wheel pose, look towards the ceiling. And then as you bend your elbows, back of the head to the floor first, roll down through your spine. If you're in bridge, roll on down. Take a little moment just to pause. Maybe a deep breath into your belly. Exhale it out. And then you can just let your knees fall from side to side. Your windshield wiping your legs. And then pull the knees into the chest. Release out your back. Your eyes could be closed here and just breathe into your low back. Feel it spreading open on your mat. Good. If there's any other stretches that you feel called to do at this point, feel free to take those on your own. We're going to be moving into our final pose, Savasana. So you can let your legs stretch out long on your mat. And the hands, you can always rest your hands over your belly or over your chest, or just take your arms out alongside your body. Close your eyes. And see if you can feel your spine beginning to release down into your mat. So just spend a moment, feel into your upper spine. You can breathe out and let your upper spine sink into your mat. And feel into your mid-spine and just breathe out, softening your mid-spine, letting it settle down into your mat. And breathing into your low spine and just release your low spine. The back of your head be heavy, sinking down into your mat, softening through the front of your throat, and let your jaw release. Feel all the muscles of your body softening. And just focus on the soft flow of your breath.
So begin to reconnect with your breath. And as always, if you have time and space to just keep relaxing, I encourage you to take an extra 5 minutes just resting here in Savasana. But if you're going to move out into the rest of your day right now, go ahead and just take a deep breath in through the nose and sigh it out through an open mouth. And then stretch out your hands and your feet. When you're ready, you can roll off onto your side and begin to ease yourself up to sit. And come to sit comfortably on your mat and let your eyes close for a moment and tune into yourself. You cleared out a lot of energy, a lot of stress from your body, and you can think about what you wanted to invite into yourself. You acknowledged at the beginning of class, and just come back to that, and maybe you feel filled up and connected to that. Maybe there's something more now that you want to acknowledge and invite in as you move out into the rest of your day. Bring the palms of the hands together to seal all of that in. You can drop your chin slightly, just kind of bowing to yourself, bowing to that light within. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope you enjoyed the practice. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and I would love to hear in the comments what you liked about the video, what you found difficult to do in the video, and what your requests are for other videos. I'd love to create something just for you. Thanks again for joining me. Namaste.